versus Astral Authority, two of the top teams here. I thought, why did you get taller? You stood on Taco's stool.
Yep.
Why are you stood on Taco's stool for?
I'm the chair too, I'm the analyst.
Okay.
That's why I got a big pad.
Cool, let's go. Obey Astral though, let's have a little talk about this.
It's a big pad.
So you're Tolly and Taco in one, is that what you're trying to tell me? The only thing you're missing is the pose of Tolly. You can't do it with the pad, it doesn't work that way. Doesn't work correctly whatsoever. Obey Alliance had a pretty good split so far for themselves. Already top of the standings. Astral not too far behind them. We're into picks and bans. Nothing too unusual so far. A lot of focus on Zeus as always.
Exactly. Chang'e, Kernanos, and Soul pretty much are kind of the go-to meta bans right now. Zeus, not quite the meta ban, but specifically targeted towards Astral Authority's mid laner. Very strong on that selection.
Well, Susana going to get picked up straight away by Obey, but it does leave Osiris open. Now we know Osiris has been around for a little while now in that solo lane, very, very strong, and now rather than an opportunity for Obey to potentially take that away has been squandered as Astral take that too.
Yeah, there seems to be two real approaches these days to the picks and ban strategy. You're generally going to see this first pick Susano, Osiris, Raven, second selection pretty often. Basically, the idea is Susano's strong enough to really run the game no matter who's there, and Osiris and Raven in the solo lane and the jungles respectively are really strong enough to be that front line for virtually any team.
It's crazy seeing console compared to PC SMITE and seeing the differences in what gets drafted, what gets banned out. Because below a Fafnir, Osiris, Raven, you'd never seen all four of those in a single game.
Exactly, but like I said, that hole is open because of the Zeus respect ban towards Delta Marine. Or excuse me, Astral's mid laner.
Sun Wukong banned out by Obey Alliance. A little bit worried about some more warriors coming on the table from Astral Authority here. Vulcan taken away by Astral Authority, just trying to limit down what Obey could run in the mid lane here. Yeah,
Sun Wukong still a viable option as far as the support play is concerned. And I mean, technically, Robin, we saw some support Robin. I still believe in the support Robin. And then the Thoth guy just a little bit too strong there in the front. But Karna, one of your favorites, he's going to be the support.
Support for sure, and surprisingly enough, we don't see much Karna just lately. A lot of people say he's just out of the meta. His wave clear is not too bad. His CC chain, very strong in combat, obviously against the gods that Obey have drafted here. Going to be very, very useful with that Yawn to shut down, if not the mobility, well, at least some attack speed.
I actually really like Karna in this current meta with Osiris and Raven running rampant. You really don't need one of those super duper, I only play defense, and Karna can do both defense and offense by way of that ultimate, setting up for characters like Thoth, who is banned, and like Kukulkan, who certainly wasn't.
And Kukulkan, we see a little bit of play of that this weekend in PC too, so starting to come back towards fruition. Poseidon's just fallen to the wayside, it seems, and his exact similar, if not opposite, counterpart in that mid lane is now getting drafted instead.
Yeah, you always bring up that they kind of flow in and outside of the meta.
They're never in at the same time. Neither one of them. One will come in, one will disappear again. Poseidon's out, Kukulkan's in.
Could they be the same person?
It could be. Let's be honest. I mean, has anyone ever seen a Cuckoo and a Poseidon in the same game? I haven't.
I don't know. I've never seen them in the same room either.
Maybe season 1.
Ooh. But, I mean, season 1, that was a whole different world.
I mean, yeah, the map was different, so that was a technically different world as well. There was no seaside, there was no crabs, and there was no lava.
There was no terror, which means it was actually a different world. Shout out to the Vorthos out there.
All right, calm down, a little bit too far. Obviously, there was no Save the World for a little while either from Geb, so that also caused issues. Globe! See? Wait, so early on, Mifflin going to get his own speed buff with a bit of assistance there with Dwurst, who's now started up his blue buff, but wants to get to that wave on the right-hand side as Chaotic Purpose and Wolves will rotate for the Elementals. Meanwhile, two members of Astral Authority in the mid lane, Brochacho and Kovi, will pick up the right-hand Harpies too.
Taking a look at this mid lane matchup, I'm really excited for both sides of it, honestly. When you take a look at Delta Marine hanging out with Mifflin, a lot of early push, specifically with that Isis character, obviously one of the most notable characters when it comes to really pushing in that wave. And then in the mid lane, you've got Kobe paired up with El Brochacho on the Karna, which, as you noted during picks and bans, also has heavy push. So because that the push has met push, usually what we see is he who out-pushes the other gets the bonus, that is the invade of the enemy jungle. Since they basically wind up even, they cancel each other out, and everybody has to tend to their own jungle instead of looking for the invade.
I will say, going back to Kumbhakarna a little bit more here as well, I thought, is the fact that the Sunder setup is a lot easier to do. Hold that thought as Dwurst getting aggressed on by Chaotic Purpose. Sunder already used there by the looks of it, trying to get some extra damage up on Dwurst, who's just jumping back towards his tier 1. Gets back towards safety there, but it's nice pressure from Astral Authority.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Wolves level 3 might have been able to find the kill if he had gone for the the extra shot, but great play coming out from the assistants out of Mifflin right there, making sure that Dwarfs doesn't eat it.
And I was talking about the Sunder for a second there. I was talking about Encumber Corner because of the fact the setup is so easy. Yawn into Sunder, into Epic Uppercut, and hopefully by the time the landing Sunder's still active, so good old Covey in the mid lane could clean up crew.
Here we have an interesting start from Transonics. We're taking a look at Mancer, but across the way we just watched Transonics pick up his buff and head back to base. He starts off with just the raw Tabi right here. This is not a start that I like because you give up the sustain that is the Death Soul and you give up the potions. However, shoutouts to the selection. Transonics is going this build path because he's Jingwei, and he can back pretty much whenever he wants thanks to that passive. So he's losing some sustain, but Jingwei doesn't care about sustain. She can sustain in the fountain and then just make it back.
And that's the kind of the weird thing that's changed as time's gone on here in Season 4 after, is that based off the god that you're playing, your build does change slightly to benefit you in different ways.
Absolutely. I mean, the classic example is looking towards Transcendence for ability-based hunters and the other direction for basic attack, but Chaotic Purpose trying to make a basic.
That was beautiful from Covey. That ultimate was so quick. Chaotic Purpose hadn't even done anything yet. I love how he's the one that's torn in two, even though he did none of the work there.
Listen, man, the setup man is the guy in charge.
He didn't get any setup, though. Covey had already hit the ult blind. Not blind, but, you know, without any requirement of CC, he basically just destroyed the chicken.
Nah, man. It's all about the training wheels.
Okay.
Got to be the training wheels.
I mean, to be fair, he rooted him afterwards so he could get the auto attack off for Covey to get the kill. But nice little start for Astral Authority. Trying to catch up to Obey in the standings. As we said, Obey, 9 points so far this split. Astral Authority sat in second position so far. Obviously taking a scalp like Obey here. Very important for them if they can find it.
Yeah, this is kind of the old champion versus the new champion in my mind. Obey Alliance, obviously defending world champs, and then Astral Authority, they took Spring. So who is really on top?
And that's the question, because if you look at Energy and BC, there's the same sort of thing, right? Like, they were world champs, but they didn't take Spring Split either. Well, Astral Authority doing what they have been able to do so far this split, have got themselves in an interesting position. 2 splits so far out of the 3 weeks, which is quite surprising when you think about how well they played at the LAN.
You know, it's interesting. You're bringing up some sort of like Twin Peaks Twilight Zone type situation. PB and Jelly going to help Delta Marine get those on the left side. Obey Alliance here in the world of console. They're the defending world champs against Astral Authority, the new blood. On the other side,
it's Obey the Alliance, the new blood, technically taking over the old guard of Energy. Twilight Zone.
Crazy.
Culkin and Poseidon still not in the same game now. It's not too far out there, but maybe it's true. Wolves still pressuring Dwarfs in this lane, and to be fair, for me, I thought these two are probably the best 2 solo laners in existence on console right now.
Absolutely. I mean, Oracle's going the way of Obey Alliance. Looking like they want to turn it into a fight. Triple stun!
Forcing out the Aegis from Covey. Covey still has his ultimate up, and will connect after the epic uppercut. But just in time, Mancer gets out until Transonics turns up.
Too late on the Aegis. Transonics transcends to the basement, and Delta Marine puts him there. Elbro and Chacho going to join his teammate as well, and Chaotic Purpose. His only purpose here is to die. Mifflin follows up after the stun that doesn't hit, and Chaotic Purpose gets a way out. Nice job.
But it was great work, honestly, from Astral Authority and Obey Alliance in that team fight. Either way could have been a little bit more impactful. In the end, it ends up being, look at the goal difference between the two. The fact that First Blood went to Astral Authority here. It's a good fight for Obey, especially when they're looking for this red buff.
Yeah, here comes Transonics and Covey, however, a little bit too late.
So how do you feel about how this is going to play out as time goes on here with these two team comps, F-Dog? Because I'm looking down the list, and I feel Astral may fall off a little bit towards the mid to late game, I guess.
Really? See, I kind of feel the opposite end. I really respect Kukulkan in the late game as he builds up the itemization, obviously, but by way of his passive, his mana goes up as well. He becomes one of the more powerful late game characters. In juxtaposition to Delta Marine,
you're right.
Isis becomes very powerful, but in a very specific scenario when you're trying to defend against the objectives.
I think I'm more looking at the fact that tanks are in the game, because I feel like, you know, as time goes on, Osiris rather not as dominant as Bologna will be in the later stages. But you're completely right. I mean, when you look at Medusa and Isis versus Jingwei and Kukulkan,
you're looking at mid-game versus late game. Wolves here, as we said, once considered the best player on the console altogether, and Dwarfs, one of the longer tenured solo laners here in the league. Both of them go head-to-head, and Dwarfs, it's also about the playstyle. Wolves is that guy, similar to Omega Omega over there in the PC scene once upon a time that just wants to walk at you and wants to basically be Osiris, where at worst, he'll fight you. And that's what Balone is about. So I like the selection for these players, sort of embodying their characters.
Alliance also down. Wolves coming over to obey speed buff here. He can hear it going on, but I don't think he fancies contesting on his own. So just drop a ward back away to go back farming. Manta on the left-hand side. The newest addition to Obey Alliance in this duo lane in the Hunter role. Just farming up on the Medusa so far. Looks like he's working towards that shift the shield that we've seen so much of just lately.
Makes a lot of sense, Hindu Man. I just mentioned the Transcendence usually going the ability-based route. Medusa, the quintessential ability-based Hunter, and Shifter Shield is basically Transcendence Light. It's a very quick item that you don't even have to stack. 70+ power on this item and very quickly able to be grabbed up. Love it on the character like Medusa.
And it's not just the power that you get, because when you get low health, you just want to live at that point, and having that little extra survivability from the physical protections from the item that increases you get lower health really does come into play and help them out.
As a hunter, you want to hope that you stay above 50% no matter what, looking at your positioning.
Yawned down by Brochacho as an engagement. Chaotic Purpose goes off Kobe looking for the ultimate. Hits Mansa and Mifflin. Circle of Protection did no work there. PB and Jelly will take out Brochacho though. When did he change his name? But Jelly's still under pressure, and he's not going to be jelly about his situation right now. I wouldn't be if I was Obey.
PB and Jelly, and that's going to be Covey pushing down on him. Certainly under pressure right there. The kill on a PB and Jelly means that's a 2-for-1 in Astral's favor.
Got to be careful of Covey on this Kulkan. He's hitting some nice ultimates so far in this game. 3 for 3, and I'd say he hit 4 people out of 3 ultimates.
Listen, when it comes down to the comparison of the Kukulkan versus the Poseidon that we were talking about earlier, the Whirlpool is a much more effective tool than the Tornado.
Agreed.
And the Kraken is just easier to hit than Kukulkan Spirit of the Nine Winds. But Spirit of the Nine Winds has a bigger, you can do more
range
with it.
I'd say range is zoning tool, cuts off avenues too. I agree. They're very similar, but very situational for both.
And so the reason we don't see, in my opinion, the reason we don't see as much Kukulkan as we do the Poseidon, ignoring the Whirlpool factor, is the fact that straight up, it's just easier for me to hit a Kraken than it is for me to hit Spirit of the Nine Winds. Definitely. But at the end of the day, if Covey can hit 2-3 players every single time he hits that button, listen, I'm taking him over the Kraken, man.
And the best news is he's hitting the targets that are technically easier to hit too. The Isis, the Medusa. Trying to catch hold of people like Susano, like the Fafnir, a little bit trickier, and that could cause him a couple of issues as time goes on.
Exactly. You know, like I said, I think the Whirlpool can still be missed. That cripple just so powerful. But late game, again, talking about late game prowess, that's also where these two characters differentiate or differ, in the sense that the Kukulkan will last into the late game longer. You accidentally walk into one of those tornadoes late game, it's 50% plus of your HP.
Well, hitting 10 minutes now, which means the Portal Demon does spawn. It's 4-3 in kills in favor of Astral Authority, and the gold lead is slightly in their favor too as it stands. With the Gold Fury going Astral Authority's way, that's pretty much where the lead comes from.
Yeah, that's exactly where the lead comes from. Everything else has been even throughout this match, except for the objective on the left side of the map. Now we see more of a reset. You can see Astral Authority kind of pushing forward into the enemy jungle, but it's really just to place down the wards so they have the vision. The vision just now going awry. So Obey Alliance now, mid laner could be in trouble.
Yeah, Del Marine took a lot of free poke there. Chaotic Purpose just walked up and put the pressure on. Luckily enough, he knew he had Jelly in his back pocket just in case Astral overstepped their boundaries there. But the pressure is good enough for Astral to be able to rotate a little bit earlier to those left-hand Harpies.
A minor objective, but still one of the neutral objectives that you really want to grab. Everything else is pretty much off the board, so you gotta find something.
Hang on a second, the Portal Demon potentially started by Obey Alliance here.
Oh, no way.
I don't know about this. They've sent 4 members to that Portal Demon right now, but Covey's on the way with the Spirit of the Nine Winds too early with that. But the ultimate follow-up from Chaos, and Wolves on the way. This is destruction. Obey's in trouble.
He wasn't even looking for the Portal Demon steal. He was looking for the team fight, he being Covey. PB and Jelly gonna be chased down here and likely to fall. Make that definitely fall. Covey puts good luck number 7 on the board.
Meanwhile, Transonic's bit off a bit more than he could chew against Mansa here, and it's Mansa who's trying to hunt down Transonics, who's having none of it this time round. And that just felt like, because Astral were winning the fight, the Portal Demon, he wanted to go aggressive on the other side at the same time.
Exactly, just put pressure at all points, absolutely what you're looking for. Astral Authority's mid laner Covey off to a tear.
He's playing so well.
You mentioned he went early. He went early if he was looking for the steal.
Yes, you're all right.
He saw 3 players lined up, and like I said, if you can hit 2-3 plays with that ultimate, I'll take it every time.
Honestly, most of the time when you're playing a mage like that in the mid lane, you're looking for that one big ultimate to hit 2 or 3 people anyway.
Exactly.
And most of the time, you don't even like using it on just the one like you did at the start of the game, but those scenarios don't get presented often, and it does draw the mages in, and that situation was perfect for Astral.
Just the communication from Astral Authority. Covey unleashed that ultimate knowing that he wanted the ensuing team fight. PB and Jelly's not going to catch up to that guy. And the communication was Covey going, look, don't care about the objective. I'm looking for the fight, because after the fight, we can clean up at least a tier 1 tower. And we always bring this up. It opens up the map.
The problem I see for Obey Alliance so far, Tom, is that the jungle mid, Mifflin, Delta Marine, haven't really got off to a good start. Susano Isis should be pressuring pretty heavily in the early game.
Exactly.
But they've not found a window to do, and they've lost a tier 1 tower early. Isis, technically, as the game goes on, becomes more tricky to get damage off with.
A little bit. I mean, it becomes really a question about long-range spirit balls instead of those upfront wing gusts as the game goes on and on. But really what I'm more concerned about is this tier 1 tower. Now, it's only 500 gold, but we mentioned this all the time. I said that it opens up the map. Now, late game, that doesn't matter. Mifflin losing the 1v1
Oh, wait, it's not over just yet. Purpose goes in. Spirit Ball into knock-up, though, from Mifflin and Delta Marine. Helps Mifflin escape, but he took a lot of brunt of damage, and it will force him back to base yet again.
That's Delta Marine's job now. Isis can be this powerhouse that winds up doing a lot of damage, but
Mansa
now...
versus Covey. Covey missing the ult and gets picked off by Mansa, just caught in an awkward spot in the jungle, looking to poke out Fafnir.
Nothing Covey could do there. He's going to fall down, and he's not building the Doom Orb. He's building the Warlock Sash, so he won't lose any stacks.
Talk to me about the Warlock Sash a little bit more. Why are we talking about the Warlock Sash and not Doom Orb or Book of Thoth here?
Yeah, so normally Book of Thoth is the go-to character. Nice beads to save Mancer's life right there. Book of Thoth is the go-to itemization on a Covey. It's the same thing as his passive. Nice little synergy right there. And it does take a little while to get online. That said, so does the Warlock Sash. The idea here is that Covey, especially when you're going up against Susano, the Slither is 80% movement speed when it's max range.
Sure.
Other than that, you ain't got any other way to get out of jail. So the Warlock Sash giving you a lot of power, but also a lot of survivability by way of HP.
I get that, especially when you think about Dwurst playing a Bellona too, who can just Eagles Rally the moment you try and think you're out of the fight for a moment or two. So we'll see what he can do with that Warlock Sash. It looks like he's potentially going Spirit of Desolation, Spirit of the Magus up next, which are kind of 2 standard options that he could look for playing Kukulkan.
Spirit of the Magus is one of the... It's interesting because a lot of times you look at that item and you say dot-oriented characters want to pick this up.
Yes.
And it's really just Anubis and Kukulkan, because it's a stack of 5.
Okay.
And even a character like Isis, which you think that would synergize very well because of Wing Gust, you're still not getting 5 stacks with a full 4-hit Wing Gust. So when it comes down to tornadoes, that's built on damage over time. That you're actually getting your bang for your buck, and it's going to help out Brochacho's damage, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Astral Authority, just get those oracles on the left-hand side near the Gold Fury. It looks like they just want to position around and just want to fight a little bit more. They've won the last couple of tussles quite nicely, other than Covey's falling down just recently to Mansui in that duo lane or near it. But they're not in a position to do Gold Fury just yet. This is Circle of Protection versus Spirit of the Nine Winds in terms of contests here.
Which, I mean, honestly, are kind of head-to-head. It's the difference is...
Oh, Mansa's out of position here. Aggressed on him, gets a nice Petrify off. Avoids a lot of the CC. Aegis wasn't really needed there, but I understand the mentality. Dwurst coming around the back with a TP, though, onto Transonics. Transonics has to agility back to safety as Purpose still dealing with 3. They're looking at Isis. Wolves goes in. Chaotic Purpose goes in. Tornado dropped down. And Isis is dead.
And an even better one out of the Kukulkan. Maybe not so much. But the red team now on the retreat, looking for Dwurst, who just got caught up in the middle of Astral Authority.
Looking to re-engage your Obey Alliance, but the health bars of Astral Authority are just too good. PB and Jelly taking so much damage from the tornado from Covey.
I'm afraid.
Transonics picks up the kill, and Dwurst and Mifflin, they want to go in to try and defend this, but I don't think they can. Mifflin might get an avenue around this back corner, though.
Yeah, he blinks over the wall looking for the steal. Nope. Can't find it. Goes the way of AA.
Dwurst, though, having to fight 2 still, and they have 2 tanks, but Mifflin helps out his solo laner. Could be the cost of his own life, trying to rely on that movement speed from his passive.
There's 5 players hunting this dude down. Mifflin's obviously going to fall down double digits for Astral Authority. Graham, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that this game is going to take off like a runaway train.
It's getting out of hand a little bit too quick, and to be fair, and if I'm looking at the KDAs and the performance so far, you're looking at Covey, honestly, like he's made one small mistake. I know the front line of Wolves and Chaotic Purpose have been fantastic, but that mage has got to hit those abilities and put him in the right spot. He's doing just that.
And we talk about this from time to time. Player damage, not always an accurate representation of who's doing the most work. Portal Demon going to get interrupted by Obey Alliance, but I don't know if they can steal
rally
it.
from Dwurst. Portal Demon goes to Astral Authority. Dwurst and Jelly's chasing for Covey, who's completely out of mana. Needs some peel. Brochacho hits him into the sky. That was like a baseball that went up there. Covey gets out. Ice is in trouble again, but Chaotic Purpose is out of mana.
I loved that alley-oop. The knock-up into the bigger knock-up. Over the wall, Transonic comes with the gust. And then it goes right into Kumbhakarna. Delta Marine just trying to wade out here and deal with everything.
Through the portal, the 9 winds arrive. Mana Bar is back for Covey, trying to get towards his tornado. Brochacho slows down Mifflin though, and now Mifflin's in trouble, slowed to high heaven. Astral running him down.
Covey did the work early, and now it's Man Sonics. Bad luck 13, but it's all good luck for Astral Authority. Frenzy's popped to pick up Fire Giant. They ain't even need it, though.
Jelly's on his way, though. We may be able to steal. Only really got the hammer, as now Dwurst arrives in the scene. No ultimate for him. Fire Giant to Astral, and Dwurst is dead.
Absolutely love the play from Brochacho over there. Dwurst is dead over the wall. I said it before. I'll say it again. It's Man Sonics.
14-4. This game, as you said, after you thought it could get out of hand quick, and it really did. The Portal Demon wasn't respected by Obey Alliance in the second rotation, so Astral